Okay, so get this. Today we're tackling a book proposal, and how do I even describe it? It's like sex, drugs, Einstein, and elves all rolled into one.
I know, right? You just can't make that up.
You had me at elves. But honestly, this proposal is wild, just full of these crazy ideas, and I'm so ready to dig in.
Or even the publishers, right? They didn't know what to do with this thing. Like MIT Press, they said they've been watching this author for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And then you got Knopf calling it intriguing, but ultimately they're out. It's like they saw something speckled but couldn't quite, I don't know, handle it.
Like they found a unicorn and they were only expecting horses. And speaking of unique, the author himself, Clifford Pickover, he describes his hometown, Shrub Oak, as the total opposite of, well, New York City. It's this quiet little town where he says, finds inspiration in the everyday.
And that's what's so interesting, I think. It's like by grounding himself in the normal, it frees his mind up to go to these crazy places.
Yeah.
And believe me, he goes there. 1 minute it's hallucinogenic worms, the next it's dream fish. Like these ideas are just his buddies hanging out in his living room.
Okay, now you have to tell me more. What's the deal with these hallucinogenic worms? I have a feeling this is where things get really good.
So it all starts with this scientific paper that just completely captured his attention. It was about this new hallucinogen, and get this, it's derived from insects. And from there, he just goes all in, talking about psychoactive drugs, parallel universes, even those mystical elf creatures that some people claim to see during these, like, altered states. And he ties it all together so seamlessly.
It's like he can see the matrix, the code behind reality.
Totally.
And then just when you think it can't get any weirder, he throws in fugu sushi.
Oh, yeah. The poisonous blowfish.
Yes. And he even mentions that hilarious Homer Simpson episode where he almost dies from eating it.
That's so Pickover, though. He can be talking about some really complex scientific idea, and then bam, he hits you with a pop culture reference or tells a personal story, and suddenly you're understanding these concepts without even realizing it.
It's brilliant.
Like when he talks about ayahuasca, that potent psychedelic brew, he brings up William Burroughs, the Naked Lunch guy. And Burroughs had these crazy experiences on ayahuasca, seeing larval beings and all this wild stuff.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Even if you don't take Burroughs' experiences literally, it just goes to show you how drastically these substances can change your entire perception of reality.
Exactly. Which leads us to another fascinating theory, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. It basically says that the language we speak shapes how we understand the world.
Okay, now break that down for me. I'm all for mind-blowing ideas, but I need a little help wrapping my head around this one.
So imagine a language that has tons of words for ant, but it doesn't distinguish between the colors green and blue. Yeah, this is actually true for the Tariana language, spoken in parts of Brazil. And it's not just like the whole language itself, but the actual words we choose. Pickover, he talks about this, about Bertrand Russell and his 20 favorite words.
Bertrand Russell, the philosopher. What kind of words did he like? Was it all like existential dread and epistemological crisis?
No, not really. Turns out he had a bit of a whimsical side. Like one of his favorites was terraqueous.
Terraqueous. Okay, I kind of like the sound of that one. What does it mean?
It means consisting of land and water.
Okay.
And another one was chrysoprase.
Hold on, I need to write that down.
Chrysoprase. It's a type of gemstone. Apple green color.
Terraqueous chrysoprase. It's like a poem, right? And it just shows you how powerful language can be. It's not just about meaning. It's about like the feeling, the wonder.
Exactly. And Pickover, he takes this even further. He analyzes words using what he calls obscurity indexes.
Obscurity indexes. All right, now you're just messing with me.
No, seriously. It's a way to measure how rare or unusual a word is.
Okay.
And he uses these indexes to look at the connection between, word choices and creativity, even personality.
Wow.
He thinks it's like a way of decoding the hidden stuff in our language.
That's wild. It's like our words give us away even if we don't realize it.
Right. And this all links back to his thing with computer-generated art and poetry.
Okay.
He sees it as a kind of AI, like pushing the limits of what we think of as creative. He even gives an example of this poem called A Glass Centipede. And it's something else. A computer wrote it.
A computer wrote a poem that's both amazing and kind of creepy at the same time. It definitely makes you rethink what it means to be creative. But how does this connect to, like, the hallucinogenic worms we were talking about before?
It's all connected to this idea of consciousness and these different states of mind. Like, ayahuasca can change how we see reality, right?
Right.
Pickover sees technology as another way to kind of hack our minds and experience the world in new ways. And this is where Burning Man comes in.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying there's a Burning Man for your mind now?
Kind of.
Yeah.
So he imagines this Burning Man technology foundation. He calls it Oblongata.
Oblongata. Okay, that sounds kind of intense.
Right. And it's all about expanding your mind through technology. Like sensory deprivation tanks, devices that can induce lucid dreaming, that kind of thing.
Wow, now we're talking science fiction. But I have to say, the idea of a Burning Man for your mind is pretty fascinating. It's like we're hardwired to crave the unknown, whether we find it through psychedelics or technology or even just our own imaginations.
And speaking of the unknown, Pickover. He dives into one of the biggest mysteries out there. What happened to Einstein's brain?
Hold on, wait. Einstein's brain is missing. This just keeps getting better and better.
So when Einstein died, the pathologist, right, the guy who did the autopsy, he took the brain without asking.
He what?
Yeah. He thought maybe he could unlock the secrets of Einstein's genius. They eventually got the brain back to Princeton Hospital. But the whole thing just shows you how obsessed we are with trying to figure out what made someone like Einstein tick.
It's true. It's like this desire to understand genius, to crack the code of someone like Einstein. It makes you wonder, what if we could unlock the secrets of time itself? Which is a perfect transition because that's exactly where the author takes us next. Time travel.
He starts with the idea that time is subjective. Like how we experience it can change depending on our mood or even certain drugs.
Totally.
He mentions Proust, how Proust describes time as slowing down, stretching, almost like it's elastic.
Oh, yeah. It's so true, right? Time flies when you're having fun, but when you're bored or stressed, it just drags on forever. Our internal clock is all over the place.
Exactly. And that gets Pickover thinking, what if we could actually control time? Like really travel through it. He doesn't give any how-tos, but he puts it out there. If time isn't fixed, if it can be bent, could we theoretically find a way to master it?
It's like he's opening our minds to a world where anything feels possible.
Right. And that's what I love about Pickover. He throws out these crazy ideas. But it's not about, having all the answers.
Yeah.
It's about making us curious, making us look at the world in a different way.
Exactly. And he doesn't stop at time travel either.
Oh, no.
He goes on to talk about the future of humanity, technology, even the possibility of aliens. It's like a crash course in the biggest questions we have.
It really is.
I have to admit, when we first started this deep dive, when I saw that title, Sex, Drugs, Einstein, and Elves,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to expect.
Right.
I thought it might be all style, no substance.
Yeah.
But I was so wrong.
Pickover. He's the real deal.
He is, and I think what makes this proposal so interesting is that it uses all these things, these kind of out there concepts.
Right. The sex, the drugs, the Einstein, the elves.
Yes, exactly. It uses them as a way to get us thinking about bigger ideas.
Consciousness, how we see the world, our place in it all.
It's like he's saying, don't be afraid to look deeper, to question everything, even if it seems weird.
Embrace the weirdness.
Yes. And in a world where it feels like everything's already been figured out, that's kind of refreshing,
It really is.
Well, this has been quite a ride. From those hallucinogenic worms to time travel, computer poetry.
Einstein's brain.
Einstein's brain. I'm feeling, energized, inspired, definitely more curious about things.
And as promised, I do have one last thought for you, something to chew on.
Okay, hit me.
So we talk a lot about AI, right? What if you could have a conversation with a computer and you couldn't tell it wasn't human? Would you say that computer was truly intelligent?
Wow, now that is a question.
Right.
One I'm going to be thinking about for a while. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the mind of Clifford Pickover. Until next time, keep exploring and never be afraid to embrace the weird.